Hi Aries, welcome to your mid-May tarot and astrology reading. I hope you're all doing really well. The new moon in Gemini is occurring for you in your third house of communication, and it is supported very strongly and very karmically by Saturn in Aquarius, your 11th house of societies, your social relationships, your friendships, but as well as that, your wish fulfillment sector. Saturn is now backpedaling in Aquarius, and to you that might have felt like a slight adjustment and a feeling of initially a kick 'em when they're down kind of feeling. That will not last. The Gemini energy with the new moon, it's so prevalent in the sky at the minute. It's a very Gemini heavy energy. There's the sun, there's the new moon, Mercury, Gemini's ruler, is in Gemini, Venus is retrograde in Gemini, and now we have the North Node, which will go conjunct with Mercury on the 28th. This will bring along quite a lot of interesting world events in terms of information, in terms of knowledge, in terms of media, in terms of the written word. But for you on a personal level, as this reading is about, it is that, especially with Venus retrograding in Gemini, you're being asked to readdress how you communicate with others, particularly how you communicate romantically, how you put your feelings forward, what you expect to receive from others romantically, in terms of communication, even with your friendships, with your family. All of that is coming into play, but particularly with Mercury being there and Venus retrograding, you're really beginning to understand that some of the ways that you communicate need to be readdressed, need to be changed, need to be shifted, and what a sky to make those changes under. One of the interesting things about mid-May, though, that's very beneficial for everybody is that the sun trines Jupiter. The sun is in your second house of money, and it is trine Jupiter in your career sector. So you really have an energy of luck on your side in terms of proving yourself, in terms of generating more money, in terms of figuring out your calling, in terms of figuring out your path. There's a lot of interesting shifts now, and the challenge, Aries, for you and for all of us is the Venus square Neptune energy. The Neptune energy, particularly as well, it squares Mercury. So there is going to be a lot of Gemini versus Pisces dynamic going on, which is your communication versus your privacy, your open dialogue versus your secrets, what you're keeping to yourself for fear of expressing yourself authentically. The karmic energy of Gemini is to express yourself authentically, to be oneself. You also have the understanding of self being the first sign of the zodiac, and really, Aries, there's a lot of things with Neptune being in Pisces, with your ruler Mars being in Pisces, there's a lot of things that you're keeping to yourself. You're the sign, I think, most likely at the minute to be keeping secrets, to be keeping thoughts to yourself, whatever the rationale, whatever the modus operandi behind it, that's entirely personal. Can't really come up in a general, it might come up in your cards but it's just more to do with why you're keeping things to yourself, Aries, why you're keeping certain things hidden. And for a lot of you, it's quite simply a fear of what you'll hear back and what would change if you said something out loud, particularly if you can't take it back. So that being said, we'll have a little look into your cards. The thing that you need to learn about the North Node, Aries, being in your third house is that your healing, your development, your future good vibes, your good energy, all of that stuff, because the North Node shows us what we should be doing to heal the past karma, is that you should be communicating and you should be boldly authentic in expressing who you are. You should be boldly authentic in speaking your truth without that fear. But with Neptune, of course, the planet of illusion, in your secrecy zone, it is kind of confusing for you to make sense of a few energies, because a lot of stuff has played out lately in your past lives that you can't always make sense of or understand. Doesn't make you any less of an alchemist, the magician. Speaking things into existence. The third house is all about communication. This is the Gemini energy. Suggests to me, Aries, that you very much intend to master it. You're not going to speak anything into existence that you don't want. Would you? Hermit. Page of Pentacles. The Eight of Wands. Communication card. Two of Swords. And the Page of Cups. How beautiful. Aww. It's quite sweet. Okay. Underneath, Judgment. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. There's a lot of stuff coming up for you. A lot. So, let's have a little look-see. For you, Aries, the answers that you seek are a lot to do with communication in love. Venus is represented here as the Page of Cups, I believe. That communication, pages being communication, cups being romance, cups being love. As your outcome, the Eight of Wands is in your positive position. The Two of Swords is to your detriment. Indecision, lack of clarity, lack of communication, lack of understanding is to your detriment. What's to your positive is the Eight of Wands, being communicative, being demonstrative, being open, being honest, having a dialogue going. I think for you, towards the end of May, there's going to be a lot of messages back and forth, a lot of messaging in the air, a lot of things coming around that you possibly didn't expect. For some of you with Judgment, you could for sure be dealing with a Scorpio. With Hermit, you could for sure be dealing with a Virgo. Interestingly enough, we have the earth signs and the water signs both represented here. But I think for a lot of you, this is focusing on your calling. Pluto, as represented by Judgment, Pluto is in your career sector. And where you are feeling like you want to give up, where you're feeling like you want to give in the towel, it is because it is building you. It is giving you strength, Aries, to create your own magnificent abundance, to be strong, to be certain, to be a boss. I generally find that Aries like to dabble in self-employment at least once in their life. And I think for a lot of you, that is where you're headed. For those of you that are self-employed, you're having to learn a few choice things about money with Uranus being in Taurus. The overall theme of Uranus being in Taurus is to restructure, to throw money into chaos, to throw our economic system into chaos so that you know what is truly worth valuing. And a lot of the time people put so much importance on what is flashy due to the Capricorn heavy energy. What is a demonstration of wealth and social standing. Now the difference here, Aries, is that during Taurus season, you've really started to reconsider what comfortable actually looks like to you. You're not a sign associated with comfortable, but it would amaze people that Aries love a routine. And Aries oftentimes thrive in chaos, but lack the sustainability, lack the staying power with building a project. You're a great leader, but sometimes you can get very easily distracted by the next shiny thing. So what this is saying, Aries, is that in terms of career, you're having some real awakening moments, and you can learn from these, and they can build you into a King of Pentacles energy. Where you're dealing with a Scorpio, there is a strong sense of contribution from both sides. But in order for it to grow, there has to be the sense of sustainability in it. For a lot of you that are wishing for love, check out that. Two of Cups, Nine of Cups. You are for sure, as this is a combination that I've researched before, it is when you're very, very satisfied with the person that you're romantically involved with. For a lot of you, that's somebody new, as represented by the Page of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and the Hermit. For some of you, the retrograde energy is bringing up a fear of putting feelings out there, or a fear of the response. It is when you meet somebody you know, if you look back in your past experiences where there were times where you put your feelings out there to have them shut down, or you said how you felt about somebody and they didn't feel the same. It's when you vocalize something is where your past trauma is kind of coming up here, where you vocalize something just to be shut down. For a lot of people, that's gaslighting. For a lot of people, it's where someone used their words to manipulate you, and it's put you in a bit of a deadlock in terms of communicating what it is that you want. And for some of you, again, with Saturn backpedaling in Aquarius, this is to do with friendships. It's to do with your colleagues. It's to do with your siblings. It's to do with all sorts of stuff. Feeling like you can't articulate what it is that you want to say. But I think Aries, for a long time, especially for those of you that have been doing a lot of self-searching as solo people, I think that there is something quite sweet and innocent in store for you romantically, as well as is in store for you creatively, where maybe your calling is in something artistic or passionate, perhaps the theatre, perhaps music, perhaps anything creative. It's discovering a creative side of yourself that has been for a while quite blocked. Piscean energy, with Mars being in your sign, is asking you to be a little bit softer. It's asking you to be a little bit more patient and feel things out a little bit more before you act aggressively to get the thing that you want or the person that you want. But that's not to say that you should shut down vocally. If it is a conversation that is not with a literal person, but it is with the universe about what it is that you want, what it is that you'd like to manifest with this Gemini new moon, remember that a new moon in the third house is a wonderful time to write, to speak into existence the things that you want the most. Writing them on a piece of paper. One of the methods that I've been trying lately in manifesting something that I want, there you go, just adjusting the light, is the 55 by 5 method, where you write something 55 times for 5 days straight. Those kind of things. Usually using the new moon energy to tap into your lack of potential. And I do think your lack of potential that you've been using, not the lack of potential that you have, the lack of potential that you've been using. You need to tap into that potential. It's basically what the North Node is saying. For a lot of areas, I think many of you have skills in writing. And for many of you, I also think you have a quick wit that you're having to revisit. And if you are a closeted writer or a struggling writer, Venus retrograde will not let you away with that for very long. Right up until August, you're going to be pressurized to do it, to write the thing, to create the thing. Very poetic, the Page of Cups and the Eight of Wands. There is big news for you, particularly in love, but also in work, around the 28th of May. Very sweet messages. Messages that I think you'll like, but also they trouble you in some way because they put you in a position where you know that something is big. Whether it's making a big decision in a relationship, whether it's making a big decision in career, I think for many Aries, you're being called to decide where you go from there. The warning that comes with that is that Venus in retrograde doesn't like people to make strong commitments where love and money are concerned. So by signing a contract or by getting married, or by making something official, or by making big investments emotionally or otherwise. Mostly to do with money, but I think for some of you it is be careful in your articulation of what it is that you want, that you are being sincere, that you mean it. For a lot of you, in terms of friendships, there are karmically things playing out, particularly with water signs and earth signs, about friends that you feel you know on a soul level. Friends that you understand in some way, but also that you're to learn something from. Particularly with Virgos. Let me see. Judgment, Nine of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. You're being reborn. Oh yes. being reborn in work and love in many, many, many ways. I think the communication lessons that you're learning go forward in both. In learning to ask for what you want regarding love, asking for what you want regarding money, and leveling up in terms of money. Sure, it's very confusing that there's these... The thing about Uranus is it's very rebellious, it's chaotic, but through the chaos comes the transformation. So for you, money has been a very unusual, particularly for Aries rising, money has been a very unusual thing. And so has your perception of your worth, and it's been challenged. But just because you're struggling with that internally doesn't mean there aren't people that want to offer you a cup of emotional good stuff. It's very sweet. Amidst the deep transformational energies posed by Jupiter and Capricorn in your 10th house of reputation and career, there are very sweet things occurring. There are very loving words to be said. Mercury conjunct Venus on the 22nd gives a lot of people a voice in romance. As it's occurring in Gemini, it gives you the most important voice of them all. So, I love you very much, Aries. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you in June. Bye.